They don't. Yeah. So, all right.
All right. Welcome to Our Perspective with Brevin and Rendall. Today we are talking about is it a hot topic? I would say kind of.
I guess.
A little bit of tension there.
Well,
maybe.
I'd say there's not a right or wrong. We're just simply laying out.
Well, I'm right and you're wrong. No, no, I'm just kidding.
I knew it. I knew it.
Just kidding.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, so we're going to be talking about homeschool versus public school.
Mm-hmm.
Rendall was homeschooled. I was public school all the way through, so I went through 12th grade. Rendall has his GED.
Mm-hmm.
Some similarities are, obviously we went to the same church
Mm-hmm.
growing up. We're kind of in the same family, I guess. Or we are. It's just not immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
And we also golfed together as well for the same team.
For 1 year.
For 1 year, we golfed together.
I was a freshman when he was a senior.
Yep. So that was, I feel like that was good for both of us as a public school kid and homeschool. But
Oh, for sure. For me, it was definitely good.
yeah.
In the moment, had its challenges. Had my eyes open. That way.
It's like, oh, okay, this is how people think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have some notes on our phones. And, how about you tell us a little bit about what I guess kind of your view on it. And we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, I was homeschooled all the way through. I did go to business school for 1 year. I think my junior year, I went to business school, which I was good. So I guess growing up, didn't have much of a social life for the beginning until I was maybe 7 or 8. And then there was a homeschool community that got together in the fall for 9 weeks. And we met once a week.
Is that called co-op?
It was called co-op.
Yep.
Gotta love it. And so that was good. I think we had four main classes. It was like phys ed, health, music, and art, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. That helped me to socialize with other kids. I will say, though, I was pretty awkward growing up.
So would you say that's the biggest downside to homeschool is the social part?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. If I wouldn't have had co-op, I mean, there's no chance I'd be as outgoing as I am right now. There's no chance. So, I would say, so I don't know. I played middle school and high school golf for Garraway. So that got me more involved with the school a little bit and with people that I guess weren't Christians or, outside world, I guess, socialize, which you do need that. So it's going to be there your whole life. So, but I just remember at the time it was I remember specifically it was hard at the time. The golf team was not the best group of people. They were just not necessarily
compared to some.
I know they
amazing.
were angels. Yeah. But it really made me. I just remember one time, and this is kind of a stupid story, a little bit. I felt dumb, but it was a huge point for me. I remember freshman year. I remember I had mentioned something that I'd appreciate it if they wouldn't cuss.
Oh yeah.
And then and including the coach, they all did it pretty much.
Yeah.
Obviously not you. And there were, I would say, probably 3 or 4 of them that didn't. Yeah. But then there were a couple of them that would just let them fly.
And that's hard to say to when you're a freshman or.
I know. I was literally I think I cried for sure. I was just while telling him, I was like, I don't know. I'm just not ready for this. I literally just don't know if I can handle it. And they were like, I think they all felt bad. I know they did. And they didn't stop completely, but they more respected me because of standing up for that, I guess. Remember, I felt really embarrassed after that, though. I mean, I'm a freshman. I'm 14. And
crying
in front of all these golfers. And so that was a good thing for me, though. And then, I don't know, playing sports is huge if you're homeschooled. Or, sports, music, whatever gets you around other kids is huge. You got to learn to socialize, because if you don't, you're going to have really awkward kids, or grown-ups even, and they'll be just socially awkward. And so it's, I don't know. I don't know if I would have been ready for public school at the time, honestly. I probably, senior year, I was solid. I know for that. But for sure, freshman year, I would have, that would have not worked.
Do you think, I would look at that and say, if you were in public school since kindergarten, though, you probably would have been able to, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, what would you, as a parent out there that like
Just wondering what
obviously
to
we're
do.
not very old, but we are just like we just got out of it,
fresh,
and
yeah.
we have some perspective on it. So what would you say? Obviously you didn't go to public school, so I can probably speak more on that. But I mean, would you say it's overall smart to homeschool? Like, what would you do with your kids? Is it does it depend on the kid, or is it?
Yeah.
What do you?
So I'm giving universal fact right now.
Universal
I'm speaking for everybody, okay? No, I think it's genuinely like it does depend on the kid.
Okay.
Which I know it can be hard to tell when you're in kindergarten already.
Well, yeah.
But there are some kids I just see that are like, oh, they'll be fine in school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not shy. They're pretty outgoing. They'll be fine. What is important is I'd say more important. Okay, how do I say this? It's more important if you go to public school, I would say, that you have good relationships with your parents.
Yes.
And that they teach you stuff along with, school. Because I would say, being homeschooled, I do have a really good relationship with my mom and my dad because I was around them more, obviously. Didn't leave the house.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess that's probably most of my perspective. I'll probably have some things after you talk about public school, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was kind of the first to go to public school in my circle of friends that I knew, so it's kind of different for me. But I personally had a great experience. I started in kindergarten. I was pretty shy back then, but I actually felt school really helped get me out of my shell. I would say for me, I think in the community that we live in, it's really looked at as like, oh my, the influence is so bad, and it's so bad, and maybe I just had a good class or something, but it was not near as bad as people would make it out to be. Like I mean, yeah, sure, there were people that were, weird, and like you don't want to like, okay, he's dressed in all black, or okay, like that's an interesting haircut,
Yeah.
or like the next day the girl's hair is blue or something. Like, oh, okay, nice. The next day it's pink. But no, but it's overall, like I felt like people were very respectful. One thing that I really think public school was good for was involving yourself in the community. So like even playing golf, that helps a lot. So you learn to know a lot of people through that. But for me now, it's, I played basketball, I played baseball way back in the day, I played golf. I did all those things, and I have a pretty large network of people that I know now in the community, coaches, teachers, all of that. So I would know my community very well, and I don't know, I think that's really important down the road, even. I don't know, it's just build connections. I know a lot of different people, different businesses I go to. I'm like, hey, he was my teacher back then or something. Almost sold a shed to one of my teachers before, actually. But yeah, I would say also probably not most important, one of the best things that happened, we were talking a little bit before this, was talking about standing up for yourself, or standing up for what's right. And so during grade school, I wasn't perfect in this, but during grade school and even middle school, which was a lot harder, we would, I'd have to sit out on movies and different plays and stuff. And back in the day, we were pretty strict. My family was pretty strict with some stuff. And we're probably a lot looser now, just on some of that stuff. But those movies, that was tough. As a kid, you're the only one. They're all watching a movie, and you got to walk out. And I would sit in the hall and just, I don't know, read a book or draw or something. And funny enough, though, one thing I found out then, or kind of realized, is my senior year. And I carried this throughout my whole high school. People would ask me to go to parties, and they weren't bad parties, they're just normal. But I don't know. I just didn't. I was really shy still at that point. But at the end, everyone actually had probably more respect for me than anyone. Just in the fact, they knew that I stood for what I believed for, whatever it was. And I carried through, and I thought that was really good. To be put in that situation. And now I know how to relate to people, as far as people who don't agree with me on something. Many debates with people at school. It was good. And so, yeah, that's, to me, when I look at homeschool, obviously I was never homeschooled. I did do 1 year of online, actually.
Okay.
My senior year, I was so tired of it. I did online, and I needed like 3 classes to graduate, so I just did online. But one thing I could see, just from my perspective, with homeschool is, I guess you're not really put in a perspective to, maybe this is good or maybe this is bad. This is kind of what we're debating about, I guess. But is you're not really put in a position to like test out your faith, or that's to me, that's like, for my kids, I'm very much leaning towards public school. I know what you're saying. Like, I think very easily, if your kid hangs out with the wrong group, yeah, that can lead to very bad things. But I that's where, like you said before, I think it's really important to have a great relationship with parents. Like my parents, one thing that, and I don't know if they really even know they did this on purpose, but they trusted me. And as a kid, that's so big. As a kid, if you know that your parents trust you,
you're not breaking that.
That's that's huge.
That's one thing. Yeah, Dad.
So,
yeah, keep going.
No, but that was huge for me during school. It's like I knew they trusted me, and there's some stuff I did, and then they found out about it, and I felt terrible. Whatever. Every kid goes through some of that stuff. But I just, that's, in my perspective with public school, it looks like this big scary thing, and oh my word, there's drugs, and there's, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if I would have wanted to go get drugs, I probably could have. I probably could have. I know probably who I'd have went to. But it's not, as a Christian, if you're even semi-grounded or whatever, I mean, there was nothing like that. Actually, in fact, I would say there was probably more, maybe not more, but probably more Christian conversations than anything. Like, I had a few friends that were, Christian. We talk about some music, like a new song we had, whatever. That was really good. So anyway, that's, as far as my perspective, going to public school, the main thing is stay with the right friend group. And if you're in the right friend group, and not even that they have to all be Christian, but just the right friend group, very nice kids.
That respect you.
Yeah, I feel like that's the most important.
Yeah,
I really, where I'm at now, that's, I would prefer that personally.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Especially because back then obviously we had co-op and all that stuff, and so that helped. But like right now, I don't think there is. Like, there's not co-op. It's done.
Oh really?
There's not a co-op anymore. At least not. There is, but it's not the same people that ran it. So it's way smaller.
Gotcha.
It's on, like, I don't know. It's more conservative kids. So like, it's not a bad thing at all, but it's just more like very smaller knit, and so it's almost a little even cliche to get into it, if you will.
Gotcha.
But so I don't know if that would even do what it did for me, because when, like, I mean, it was also like kindergarten, or I guess 1st grade through 12th grade, and so when you went to co-op, it was also cool to see all the older kids, and and so it was actually, I was there the first year it started I was in 1st grade, so went all the way up to, I think it stopped when I was in 9th grade.
Okay.
And I was pretty bummed because I was just ready to start my first year in the high school grade class, and I was super excited for that, and then they ended it there, so that was kind of a bummer. But I could definitely, I don't think I have anything against public school at all. You just got to know your kids.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
For sure.
That's, I think, and kind of to wrap it up, I guess, unless you have some other points, but I would say for me too, when I look at, I don't know, when I look at a parent trying to mold their kid, obviously you're supposed to, and I'm not a parent, so I have no experience, and you could laugh at me, but but I feel like doing homeschool could really open the door to be controlling as a parent.
Yep.
And again, I'm not.
It's all
saying,
about balance.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying I would never homeschool. Maybe I will. I don't know. Probably not. But I feel like that can, and you try to create an environment for your kid where it's just like they only have this. They only hang out with these people.
Well, you don't expose them to anything.
Exactly.
And then when they actually do get exposed,
that's my point.
Yeah.
Is like once they actually, every person in the world, probably, maybe there are some that aren't, but at some point you're going to get exposed to something bad, or something you shouldn't get into.
Well, I remember like cuss words were a huge deal to me.
Yeah.
Like back
and
then.
for me, it was like,
Well, you grew up with
obviously
it,
it was
though.
bad, but
Yeah.
I heard, I heard it a lot. So I could
And it will
handle
be
it better.
around no matter where you go.
Yeah.
It's not, you know what I mean? It's not like you
Yeah.
can shelter your kids from that forever.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, and you look even at Jesus where, he sat with the publicans and sinners, and not that you hang out with those people.
Or let them influence you.
Yeah.
But you can be friends.
Absolutely.
Love your neighbor.
You have to live in the, we also live in the world too.
Yeah, for
Be
sure.
ye not of this world, I don't take that as a closed thing or even like a image. It's more of your heart. And so, yeah, I guess that was kind of my thing too, is at some point they're going to be exposed to, stuff they shouldn't get into. And how are you going to handle that? That's where you see actually some extremely conservative parents or families. So those are some of the worst. Like if they go down the wrong road,
it's bad.
Full on, like, it's horrible. Not everyone, and I'm not saying it's necessarily wrong, but it does open the door to that a lot more, in my opinion. So that, to me, that's where public school. I'm not going to say. Well,
It
I don't
also
know how to say
depends on
that,
your
but-
public school, because there's a couple
That's true.
schools, public schools that I know about. West Homes. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
there's some they have reputations. Repetitions.
Repetition.
No.
Yeah, well, that's true, and like I would say, for the most part, I had a great school system.
Oh, for sure.
Teachers were really good, and very decent people. So,
I
yeah,
know.
that's kind of my perspective on it.
For
And I feel like throughout the year, throughout the school, you get to know these people. You're friends with them. If I still see them out in the, I'll say hi, talk to them for a while. Not necessarily the same views as me, but we're good friends, and you can actually communicate. And I feel like you can actually, I guess, be a witness, or you don't necessarily have to shove it down their throat, but they can look at you and be like, hey, he's still a great guy, and he still stood up for what he, he stood up for what he believes in. I think that speaks more than preaching down your throat, because there were some of those kids in our school as well, where everything was just,
that's why people, honestly, that's why people a lot of times get turned off to Christianity when they're just trying to, like, you're going to hell.
Yeah,
which
probably
honestly
comes out of a good heart.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. One thing that you touched on a little bit was about trust. And yeah, obviously I did break it a couple of times, but I remember one time my dad had this old BlackBerry phone, and there was one game on there that I really liked playing, and he was like, you can't take it to bed. And I took it to bed, and I was playing. It was called Brick Breaker, I think.
Oh, that sounds pretty bad.
I don't know.
Brick Breaker.
Yeah, it was like a wrecking ball, and you just, I don't know, it was like you had to get through like 20 levels or something like that. And I remember Dad caught me one time. He was like, all right, that's enough. But
Brick Breaker. We only build the kingdom, we don't break the kingdom. Anyway.
yeah.
Just imagine.
But one thing Dad, he always said was, I will give you all the trust that I have until you break it. And even so, a lot of people, maybe this is a hot take, I don't really know, but I know a lot of kids our age or a little younger have curfews. My dad never gave us a curfew, never said we have to be home by a certain time, but there's two things. I guess partly it was because we had built up the trust leading up to when we could drive.
Yep.
And he always said, like, you don't have to, be home by a certain time, just communicate with us.
Yeah.
And let us know where you're going, and just try to be home at a reasonable time. Like,
Yeah.
he always said nothing good happens after midnight, which it's probably true for the most part.
There's some fun stuff that
I know. Honestly, you have good conversations.
well, I've had the best conversations.
At 1 a.m. Yeah, for
Me,
sure.
you and Charles did that once.
Yes, we did.
I remember that.
Yep.
That's
So,
true, yeah.
I don't know. I definitely like the idea of it, even at a young age, if you have your dad or your mom's trust, like, even if you, I hope you'd respect your parents, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's huge. Like, as a kid, I remember I don't want to break it, because you don't want to at all.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I didn't have a curfew either. And I literally wanted to be home for them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same thing with even in the workplace, like a boss that makes you want to work for them. That's so huge.
Oh, yeah.
Even if that's really important, because I never had a curfew either, and I'd get home at 2 sometimes in the morning after youth. Some guys, we'd just hang out. Nothing bad or nothing. It was actually
Because
good
most times
conversation.
good. Yeah, I was gonna say most times.
I
good.
would actually tell people, most parents, like, if your kids hang out with the right people, honestly,
let them
late night is probably the best way to actually, when kids like generally open up to each other, and that's so huge. But not
best
saying every time is like that, but for me, I mean, that's how I felt.
Parking lots for some reason. Parking lots at like midnight.
Yep.
You'll talk for 2 hours and it'll feel like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But it's good. Those kind of conversations really build you up too.
Yeah.
And it's really good. Yeah.
Yep. You have to have people your age to talk to. And
Well, I guess maybe not. You're 3.5 years older than I am.
well, close enough.
Close enough. That's close.
Yeah.
I gotta think that's close.
I have a very wide range of aged friends.
Yeah, because Chad is.
Chad's
he's
what,
a year and a
how
half.
old is he?
He's like 5 years younger than you.
Yeah.
So he just
And
turned
then I've got
18.
I have actually a lot of friends that are a lot older than me.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. Well, yeah, hopefully that kind of gives a brief summary of how we feel about it. I don't know. I think for the most part we agree.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I
say if anything, just have an open mind.
yeah.
You know, just go and do it. Think, public school, homeschool, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you
So-
decide. I don't know that there's a wrong choice, but
Yeah.
you just gotta maybe, I don't know, play it by ear or just know your kid.
Yeah, listen to your kid. Whatever they say, just do that. Listen.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, hopefully that was helpful to you guys, and maybe some parents that are, yeah, you hear it from someone who went to school in today's world.
Our perspectives.
Our perspective. So
There we go.
hence the name.
Yep.
So I think that's all for this episode.